you ever see the video where he gets interviewed by this woman and she's asking him whether or not he's going to do Black Panther 2? And he goes,
I'm dead.
No.
well, I'm dead.
What?
So I can't. And she goes,
We're not ready for you to be dead, Chadwick.
But I am. I'm dead.
You already know what it is. It's your boy Laid Back with another reaction, another review, another episode. Hey, TikTok, you up to bat? Bah. It's your boy Laid Back. Welcome back to my channel. Hey, two things we got to do. You got to hit that subscribe button. I'm drinking this water. You already know what it is, man. You are the prize in 2025. You are the prize in 2025. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Stay up to date with all the videos. We back with another one, man. Before we get into it, if you haven't copped, I'm just saying it'll make a great Christmas present or something like that for the holidays, man. Go ahead and copy one. But we back with another TikTok compilation. And this is going to be a heavy one, man. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there. You make it to the end of this one, you a real one for real. Because this is going to be for real. But let's go ahead and get into it. Fire Squad, what's popping? Let's get it.
3 actors that died on set while filming.
What?
Brandon Lee, son of legendary Bruce Lee, was filming a scene for the movie The Crow where he was supposed to be shot to death by a group of thugs. Though it turned out the prop gun was improperly prepared and it ended up firing a round into Lee at close range.
Crazy.
He was rushed to the hospital, but he ultimately passed away. During the filming of Twilight Zone, the movie, actor Vic Morrow along with 2 children were killed. Morrow and one of the children were actually decapitated when a prop helicopter fell during a scene.
What?
The other child was tragically crushed to death, and even worse, their parents were on set and watched as this all went down. 26-year-old John Eric Hexum was filming for the TV show The Cover-Up when he accidentally shot himself in the head.
Dang.
He thought he could freely joke around since the gun was loaded with blanks. However, there was enough wadding in the bullet that when he loaded it and put it up to his temple, it caused serious damage. He was rushed to the hospital, but he later died.
Jeez.
Morgan Freeman passes away at 88 years old after this. The legendary Morgan Freeman has officially passed away after his long battle with fibromyalgia. Morgan was also dealing with pneumonia, chronic pain, and even severe insomnia. The industry is saddened by this news as today we lost a legend, somebody that the entertainment world will remember and respect until the end of time. It's sad to announce that Morgan Freeman has lost his life at 88 years old, but we also want to celebrate the life of Morgan Freeman and who he truly was. You know, the man his close friends know him as. Many celebrities and close friends of Morgan have come out to speak on this tragic news and pay tribute to the legend. And let me tell you, their reactions are heartwarming. This is definitely a bittersweet moment, but it's clear to see the amount of respect these people have for Morgan Freeman.
Away?
It's crazy to think that 3 decades ago, Morgan Freeman made his first Hollywood appearance on The Shawshank Redemption.
This is how George Foreman died. On March 21st, 2025, the world was stunned by the sudden death of George Foreman. The legendary boxer and entrepreneur passed away at 76 years old. He was found unresponsive at his home in Houston early that morning. Just the night before, he was seen laughing with family. Fans were shocked, and some are calling the timing suspicious. What's raising eyebrows is that neighbors reported hearing loud voices at the house hours before his body was found.
Really?
No official cause has been released, but the suddenness has left many asking questions. Foreman's story is unmatched. He rose from poverty in Marshall, Texas, to Olympic gold in 1968 in heavyweight glory in 2 separate decades, becoming the oldest heavyweight champ ever. Outside the ring, he was a minister, a father to 12, and the face behind the George Foreman Grill, which sold over 100 million units.
Jeez.
His sudden passing has left fans wondering, was there more behind it than we know? Rest in peace, George Foreman. Your legacy will never be forgotten.
Man, I just did my research. I had to pause the video and see if Morgan Freeman had passed away. I'm looking right at this joint on Google. It says Morgan Freeman is still alive despite occasional false online rumors. That's why I be telling y'all, make sure y'all do y'all research. I'm like, Morgan Freeman passed away? That's hella foul. But let's just keep going. That's crazy.
This is how Stephen Hawking died. Stephen wasn't supposed to live long. At 21, doctors told him he had ALS and 2 years to live. His body shut down, but his mind, it kept going faster than anyone could predict. He became the voice of black holes, time travel, and the edge of the known universe, all from a wheelchair through a computer. But near the end of his life, something felt off. No more conferences, no more public appearances. He was working in total silence. Then, March 14th, 2018, the same day Einstein was born, Hawking was found dead in his home. Quiet, peaceful, no struggle, no warning. And that's when the whispers started. There was no autopsy, no press release with detail, just natural causes, and the story moved on. But days later, a paper surfaced. One he had been finishing right before he passed. It wasn't just science, it was a theory about proof of the multiverse, parallel realities, alternate timelines. It scared some people. The strangest part, the final version of that paper was published after he died, exactly as if someone wanted his voice out there, just not him speaking it. So was his death really just nature taking its course, or did he finally discover something we weren't meant to know?
I don't know the answer to that one.
The story of Linkin Park, you know, the lead singer, Chester Bennington, he actually was in the middle of a documentary talking about child trafficking. Okay?
Oh, it gets spooky when you start talking about that.
And then Avicii, remember Avicii?
Avicii, yeah, of course. Love Avicii.
The DJ. One of his last videos, I believe this was his last video. It was of what?
About child trafficking.
Child trafficking. His video depicts that kids were coming out of a shipping container. And they were getting freed and everything else. So he was exposing that. And then he gets suicided.
Whoa.
Just lining up the coincidences.
Just saying.
Just saying. Trafficking being, you know, a multi-billion-dollar industry. Come on now.
Sick motherfuckers,
right?
Man.
Same thing with Angie Stone. She just passed away. Just a few months before. What was happening? She went on Instagram Live and said what? UMG. I found out they're stealing all my royalties. They're doing X, Y, and Z. I'm owed millions of dollars. I didn't know. A few months later, she ends up dying in a car crash, and there's 10 people in the van, and she's the only one that dies?
Ooh.
How?
Just saying, y'all. Just saying.
Just look at the evidence, y'all. Just look at the evidence. Just look at everything. That's what I'm saying.
Let's put our thinking caps on.
Gotta put them on. Even with Left Eye, she died the same way. She was in Honduras, in a van with a bunch of people, and she's the only one that dies. And guess what? She was with Dr. Sabi, and way back then she was talking about soursop, talking about sea moss. I just think that with the music industry and everything else, it's not what it seems.
It's never really what it seems.
This is how Muhammad Ali died. Muhammad Ali was more than a boxing champion. He was a global icon, 3-time heavyweight world champion, Olympic gold medalist, and a man who stood up for his beliefs, no matter the cost. He was called the greatest for a reason. In his later years, Ali battled Parkinson's disease, which slowly affected his speech and movement. Still, he remained active in public life, attending events and inspiring millions. On June 2, 2016, Ali was admitted to a hospital in Scottsdale, Arizona, for respiratory issues. His condition quickly worsened. Surrounded by his family, he fought his final battle, this time outside the ring. On June 3, 2016, at the age of 74, Muhammad Ali passed away from septic shock due to unspecified natural causes. The boxing world and fans everywhere mourned. A champion inside and outside the ring was gone. Rest in peace, legend.
Did you know that Avicii had a single ready to drop just before he died that never got released, called Dun Diddy? Swedish DJ Avicii passed away in 2018. It was reported that he had allegedly taken his own life with a broken wine bottle. But Avicii's passing has never sat right with the whole world, still to this day. And this is where things start to get suspicious. Before he passed, Avicii had started to expose Hollywood. He had also tried to expose P. Diddy for sex trafficking, which kinda makes you wonder what was in that unreleased song. Avicii had started to drop a lot of symbolism, even right up until that very last song. In the music video for Better Days, you see a van being driven out with people in the back. Billionaires pull up to choose who they want. You then see kids running away, running through the desert. This video was a scream for sex trafficking. 6 months later, Avicii had died. This is where it gets even more suspicious. Avicii was allegedly working on a documentary called The Silent Children. The documentary was set to expose Hollywood and all of the sex trafficking. He then died. He wasn't working alone. Also allegedly working on this documentary was Chester Bennington from Linkin Park. He was then also found dead, self-inflicted death. American singer Chris Cornell was also allegedly working on this documentary. He was also found dead.
What?
Self-inflicted death.
What?
Anthony Bourdain, also working with them. Guess what? Also found dead.
What?
Self-inflicted death. Now, while some people call this nothing more than a conspiracy, every single person who was allegedly working on that documentary is now no longer here to tell the tale. The fact is, Avicii did suffer from anxiety and depression. He struggled in the industry. He was overworked and he was battling the dark side of fame. By 2016, he'd even chosen to retire from touring. He was done. Isn't it suspicious that every time we hear of a celebrity trying to expose the industry, they vanish? Nothing will ever convince me that Avicii's death did not involve some form of foul play. It's a shame, because he was a legend.
This sounds really crazy.
People are just finding out about the most dangerous movie ever made, and I guarantee it's not what you think. This movie was never even finished because every single actor in it died.
What?
Atuk was actually a comedy movie based on an Inuit man who just moved to New York and was adjusting to his life. Seems harmless, right? But it gets disturbing when they started casting the lead role. First of all was a comedy legend John Belushi, who was cast as the lead starring role. Only days after receiving the script, he was found dead from an overdose.
Dang.
Next up was actor Sam Kinison, who actually begun filming this movie when he then died in a car crash a couple of days later.
Wow.
Still a coincidence? Well, then shortly after, John Candy came, started filming, and a couple of days later died from a heart attack.
Really?
Chris Farley then came on and actually managed to get quite a way through the filming before then dying from an overdose again.
Whoa.
And then one of the craziest parts is they finally cast this guy, Phil Hartman, who then was actually murdered shortly after the filming begun. While there is genuine documentation that this film was real and these things did actually happen, but it remains almost a crazy urban legend in the field, and do you think it's a coincidence or something much more?
Nah, that sounds crazy. Everybody?
Did you ever see the video where he gets interviewed by this woman and she's asking him whether or not he's going to do Black Panther 2? And he goes,
I'm dead.
well, I'm dead.
What?
So I can't. And she goes,
We're not ready for you to be dead, Chadwick.
I am. I'm dead.
What?
because he had cancer and he knew he was dying. He was real thin at the time, and he hadn't announced it to anybody. He was like smiling when he said it. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
You got to give respect to those people that don't tell you they're dying.
Something like that.
I'm dead.
Whoa. Whoa.
Michael Jackson had nearly $2 billion, owned 50% of Sony, while also owning the catalogs to artists like Eminem, the Beatles, and Elvis Presley. But I gotta tell you, sports fans, Sony didn't like this very much. More specifically, a man named Tommy Mottola. Long before the money, the fame, the controversies, Michael Jackson was born to a small home in Gary, Indiana, son to a very abusive father, Joe Jackson, while simultaneously responsible for the success of him and his siblings, the Jackson 5. And by the age of 11 years old, released the generational hit I Want You Back and took the world by storm. But Michael, being front and center, became the face of his family, and he knew that. So Michael started releasing music under his own alias until 1979. And Michael Jackson released the album Off the Wall, producing hits like Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You. Right after the success of that album, he dropped an absolute flop called Thriller, the most successful album of all time, creating hits like Billie Jean, Beat It, and Thriller. And in 1984, Michael Jackson sealed himself as the king of pop, fully separating himself from the Jackson 5. And so now, with millions of dollars, he thought, instead of investing in property, why don't I invest in music? So in 1985, Michael Jackson had approached ATV Music Publishing and acquired the rights to most of the Beatles' hits. But lurking from the sidelines, a man named Tommy Mottola, the CEO of Sony Music Group, saw this venture and proposed a joint venture between him and Michael, making them both 50-50 partners, meaning whatever was Tommy's was also Michael's and vice versa. So now, besides being a global phenomenon, he continued to make smart financial business decisions throughout the years, acquiring music rights to artists like Elvis, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, and Eminem, which is a wild story. And slowly throughout the years, Tommy watched all of these business moves happen. Slowly, Michael started creeping in on the business that was his. Tommy started controlling Michael through his artistic visions, his music taste, and his marketing and promotional. And holding 50-50 shares in a multi-billion-dollar business with somebody that you fear is not the greatest business model. This drove a deep divide between the two relationships, And in 2002, Michael Jackson expressed interest in selling his 50% share, estimated at over $1 billion. But suddenly, on April 13th of 2005, Michael Jackson would be arrested at Santa Barbara Airport for allegedly assaulting a 13-year-old boy, Gavin Arvizo, at his Neverland Ranch. And on that same day, the FBI raided Michael Jackson's home, went through every paper, every drawer, every bed, and completely destroyed his home. And after a 10,000-page investigation and 10 years of court proceedings, Michael Jackson was acquitted on all counts, making him not guilty. But now Tommy got exactly what Tommy wanted. Michael Jackson was now innocent, but completely broke. And not only broke, but completely destroyed his reputation, with the media even giving him the nickname Wacko Jacko. And Michael couldn't handle it anymore, so in 2009 he announces This Is It tour, a worldwide tour meant to be his farewell tour right before he sold his catalog and disappeared forever. But before the tour ever started, on June 25th of 2009, Michael Jackson died to a drug overdose, administered to him by a man named Conrad Murray. But instead of calling 911 as soon as he saw Michael's vitals start going down, he called a man by the name Fahim Muhammad, P. Diddy's bodyguard, a man in the industry you call when you're in trouble with the police and you need to clean it up. So after his death, the Jackson family went to go collect what was his fortune, until they found out that in 2002, a man Michael fired back in 2003, John Bronca, for siphoning money from Michael Jackson's account to Tommy Mottola's Caribbean offshore account. So money was gone. The 50% he owned in Sony was gone. All owned by a man named John Bronca, that was signed over by Michael Jackson on April 7th of 2003. Issue being that Michael Jackson wasn't there when the document was signed in LA. Instead, that day he was in New York. But that didn't matter. The signature was on the will, which is all the court needed to see. So John Bronca allegedly pocketed the money and gave the $750 million percentile back to Tommy Mottola.
Whoa.
You probably don't want to know this about Charlie Chaplin's death. On Christmas Day 1977, Charlie Chaplin died of a stroke at the age of 88. However, just a few months later, an unexpected event occurred. The coffin containing the comedian's body was robbed and held at ransom for $600,000. The family was notified by the police via a phone call, informing them that the grave had been dug up and the coffin was missing. And after a 5-week investigation, 2 mechanics were arrested, and they led the police to Chaplin's body. He was subsequently returned to his original resting place, but this time in a thief-proof concrete tomb.
The death of Robin Williams was shocking and unexpected. Here's the reason why he really died. The reason I really want to talk to you about Robin Williams is more about how he died. Suicide. That is totally in contradiction to a guy that looks like he's so happy. And yet that was actually what his struggle was. That was really a cover. He was in a lot of pain. If you look at his childhood, he had a lot.
That's deep. That's deep. A lot of people be putting on a front, or they don't want people to know what they going through, and they just put on a mask. And people really be going through a lot, man. Hey, I'm sending my prayers to those people out there, man, for sure.
A lot of trauma in his childhood, and everybody knew that he had taken drugs. He was very open about talking about drug use and what he did. And so whether that trauma was just all from childhood or things that he created from his drug use afterwards, it still came into trauma. So when somebody commits suicide, there's this stigma about suicide. What if we look at it this way, that it wasn't necessarily about wanting to die, it was about wanting to stop the pain. And if it was about stopping the pain, suicide would stop the pain, right? Now, the other interesting thing is everything survival-based is running on a subconscious level, and it's operating in the present, in the moment. So if I take a drink of this drink and my pain stops, when did my pain stop? Now. Solve the problem. So the subconscious sees it as a solution. Addiction is a solution to the problem now. Suicide is a solution to a problem of pain now. So if people are dealing with suicidal thoughts, look at it this way. It may not be about wanting to die. It's about wanting to stop your pain. And there are ways to stop your pain. You don't have to take drugs and alcohol to do it.
I respect that. I respect that.
Famous deaths as they were first announced on TV's breaking news. In this age of social media, with all the day's stories at your fingertips, it's rare to learn of a celebrity passing on the news. But it still happens. I've put together a few breaking news clips concerning the tragic deaths of famous people. And while they're all very sad, it's the first one that for some reason really breaks my heart.
And before we get to this, we now have information about at least one of those passengers who has died in that helicopter crash. It has been confirmed. CNN is able to tell you now that NBA star Kobe Bryant was on board that helicopter and is now dead at the age of 41. Our Christine Brink.
This is CNN breaking news.
And CNN has now confirmed that the artist Prince is dead. We're just getting confirmation. Earlier, we knew there was a police investigation underway at his estate, the studio in Minnesota. Now, official word, we're getting the word now that Prince has died.
Breaking news now on Fox News Channel. The Los Angeles Times and the Associated Press are now reporting Michael Jackson has died in Los Angeles this afternoon. Fox News cannot confirm this, but Associated Press has just reported a person with knowledge of the situation says Michael Jackson has died.
The Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car accident, and that her partner, Dodi Fayed, has also been killed. They were apparently being pursued by paparazzi.
Loader with an MTV News special report on a very sad day. Kurt Cobain, the leader of one of rock's most gifted and promising bands, Nirvana, is dead, and this is the story as we know it so far.
Breaking news out of Hollywood this morning.
Yeah, Paul Walker, one of the stars of the enormously popular Fast and Furious movies, dead in a car crash.
Smith is on the line, and I don't care what's on the line, Howard. You have got to say what we know in the booth.
Yes, we have to say it. Remember, this is just a football game, no matter who wins or loses. An unspeakable tragedy confirmed to us by ABC News in New York City. John Lennon, outside of his apartment building on the west side of New York City, the most famous, perhaps, of all of the Beatles, shot twice in the back, rushed to Roosevelt Hospital, dead on arrival.
Wow. Wow.
6 stars who dropped dead mid-performance. Number 1, Big Pokey. Houston rapper Big Pokey collapsed mid-performance on June 17th, 2023. He exhaled deeply, tipped backward, and lost consciousness. Despite medical intervention, he passed away due to a heart attack. Number 2, Mika Ben. Haitian-American singer Mika Ben collapsed as he exited the stage during a Paris concert on October 15th, 2022. He suffered a fatal heart attack, leaving fans in shock. Number 3, Bruce Hampton. The legendary jam musician collapsed while performing at his own 70th birthday concert in 2017. Many initially thought it was part of the act until he failed to recover. Number 4, Tiny Tim. The eccentric singer of Tiptoe Through the Tulips suffered a heart attack on stage during a 1996 performance. He passed away hours later. Number 5, Mark Sandman. Morphine's frontman suffered a fatal heart attack mid-performance at an Italian festival in 1999, shocking rock fans worldwide. Number 6, Owen Hart. A wrestling icon, Owen Hart tragically fell 78 feet during a 1999 stunt at WWE's Over the Edge event, suffering fatal injuries.
Jeez, man. Crazy.
Did you know one of the greatest icons in music history was killed by a fan who just wanted an autograph? His name was John Lennon. The whole world was waiting for his comeback, but he walked the streets of New York like a regular guy. It was 1980. He got to his apartment building. A young man was standing there, holding a book. His name was Mark David Chapman. He asked for an autograph. John smiled and signed. Then he walked inside with Yoko Ono. A few hours later, that man was still there, standing quiet, with a strange smile on his face, like he was planning something terrible. When John came back, Chapman pulled out a gun.
What?
He fired 5 shots. John died right there, in front of his own home. His glasses dropped on the ground. Under his arm was the record he had just finished.
Really?
The killer didn't move. After shooting, he just sat there, reading The Catcher in the Rye. He never tried to run. He said he did it so people would remember him. But the world will always remember only one name. John.
What? Bro, what people be thinking about?
Famous Autopsies, Part 18, Prince. Prince was born on June 7th of 1958 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He soon grew up to be a singer whose music incorporated a variety of genres, which garnered him a large fan base. Unfortunately, on April 21st of 2016, his lifeless body would be found in his elevator in his house. Found on scene would be a bottle of hydrocodone, but none would be found in his system. Instead, he had high levels of fentanyl in his system, which he had no idea he was on. It would soon be revealed that the pills in his possession were fakes, and they were instead pills with fentanyl pressed into them to make them look real, and they contained lethal levels. No one around him shown any signs of them knowing that it was counterfeit pills or
I did not know that. Whoa.
This is how a pilot's mistake killed Kobe Bryant. On January 26th of 2020, Kobe Bryant and 8 others, including his daughter, boarded a helicopter at John Wayne Airport in Orange County, California. They were headed to Camarillo Airport, about 80 miles northwest, for a basketball game at Kobe's Mamba Sports Academy. The weather that day was overcast, and at the time of takeoff, the visibility was about 5 miles, but as they headed towards their destination, it would only get worse. The company operating the aircraft was only permitted to fly using visual flight rules, requiring the pilots to have at least 2 miles of visibility and a 1,300-foot cloud ceiling. When approaching Calabasas, the visibility had decreased to about 1 to 1.5 miles, and the pilot began climbing over the mountains and through the clouds, but shortly after, they started rapidly descending. The pilot had become spatially disoriented, and during this descent, he actually thought they were still climbing. They crashed shortly after, sadly killing all 9 people on board. Pause now if you'd like to read the official conclusion from the investigation.
He thought they was...
The world's most shocking celebrity deaths, part 1. Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. When I tell you I loved this man, September 4th, 2006. I was 7 years old and I still remember it like it was yesterday. He was at Bat Reef filming, quite ironically, a documentary called Ocean's Deadliest. He swam up to a stingray and was swimming over it while he was filming a shot of it swimming beneath him. His cameraman was swimming beside him, filming the entire thing. In the blink of an eye, the stingray stabbed Steve Irwin with its barb over 100 times. It stabbed him directly in the center of his chest, and his team immediately took him back into his boat. Steve initially made a comment saying, "I think it got my lungs." But what had actually happened was the stingray stabbed Steve directly in his heart, causing massive damage and bleeding. They were administering CPR to him on the boat and telling him to think of his family when he looked the cameraman in his eyes and said, "I'm dying." After Steve said this, his cameraman reported that he had a look in his eyes that he will never forget. Steve then closed his eyes and stopped breathing. They rushed him to a nearby hospital where he was pronounced dead.
100 times? What?
Michael's death was not the result of one fatal incident. It was more like a case of death by 1,000 cuts.
Who really killed Michael Jackson? I would say that Dr. Murray was a facilitator, and Dr. Klein, and a number of the other doctors that were in a hurry to give Michael what he wanted. The family couldn't stop it. They were concerned. AEG, according to the family, put a lot of pressure on Michael, and no matter what anybody says, there gets a point where you could take a whole group of people and say that was the basic cause.
Who really killed Michael Jackson? In my opinion, it's my profession. It was not just one physician, it was multiple physicians. And I'm here to tell you that in those decades, my peers killed my patients, often celebrities, all the time.
What?
And it breaks my heart to say it, but it's the truth.
It's sad to say that Michael Jackson died. But Michael Jackson killed Michael Jackson. And all of those other doctors that enabled him with opioids over the years are complicit to his death.
I don't know what's real with that Michael Jackson stuff, man.
How Aaron Carter died.
Everybody believed it to be an overdose.
Because he looked really bad.
Yeah, he was trying to raise like $100,000 so he could move to an undisclosed location because Tony and his family were conspiring against him.
At the same time that he's making these videos, he was actually speaking out against his own brother, who is Nick Carter. Right after Aaron Carter died, Backstreet Boys got back together. And Backstreet Boys is on the Sony label. Aaron speaking out about Diddy and Nick Carter could have destroyed Bad Boy and the Backstreet Boys reunion, which is all money for Clive Davis. So the theory is they had to shut Aaron Carter up because he was about to expose Diddy because he was talking about his abuse, and he was about to expose his own brother who was about to blow back up as a Backstreet Boy because they were reuniting and going on tour.
This shit.
Weird celebrity deaths. Anton Yelchin died in 2016 at the age of 27. You might know him from playing Chekhov in the Star Trek reboot series. He also played Kyle Reese in Terminator Salvation alongside Christian Bale and Sam Worthington. He also starred in multiple movies, including Odd Thomas, based on the book series, and he was in Fright Night with Colin Farrell. So anyway, Anton died unexpectedly, and his death was an accident. But not only that, it was a bit weird and strange. Anton was crushed against this gate at his own house by his own car. So Anton had gotten out of his car to go open his gate, and with his car behind him, somehow the gear shift malfunctioned and put the car into neutral, and the car started rolling downhill and crushed him against the gate. So the weird thing is, there turned out to be hundreds of similar incidents with the gear shift malfunctioning on this Jeep Cherokee, which is what he was driving, and that model ended up being recalled.
Really?
His parents filed a wrongful death and product liability lawsuit, and they won.
10 celebs who died in freak accidents. 10. John Eric Hexum, American actor and model known for TV series Voyagers and Cover Up. Died on October 12, 1984 from an accidental self-inflicted blank cartridge gunshot to the head while filming. He was 26 years old. 9. Frank Silvera, actor with a 36-year career, nominated for a Tony Award in 1963. Died on June 11, 1970 at age 55 after accidentally electrocuting himself while repairing a garbage disposal unit.
Jeez.
8. Rod Hull, English comedian famous for his puppet Emu. Died in March 1999 after falling off his roof while adjusting a TV antenna during a football match halftime.
Really?
He fell through an adjoining greenhouse. 7. Les Harvey, guitarist for the band Stone the Crows. Died in 1972 by onstage electrocution while tuning his guitar during a concert.
What?
6. Vic Morrow, actor from the TV series Combat. Died in 1982 during the filming of Twilight Zone the movie when a helicopter rotor blade ruptured and crashed, killing him and 2 child actors. 5. Charmaine Maxwell, singer from the group Brownstone. Died in 2015 after tripping and falling onto a wine glass, causing fatal neck injuries.
Wow.
4. Michael Kennedy, son of Robert F. Kennedy. Died in 1997 after crashing into a tree while playing football on skis. 3. Natalie Wood, actress known for West Side Story. Died in 1981 by drowning off the coast of Catalina Island. Her death was ruled accidental despite bruises found on her body. 2. Tennessee Williams, playwright considered one of the foremost in 20th century American drama. Died in 1983 by choking on a plastic bottle cap in his hotel room.
Damn.
1. Anton Yelchin, actor known for roles in Star Trek and Fright Night. Died in 2016 when his car rolled down his driveway and pinned him against a fence, crushing him to death.
Some of these stories are crazy.
The weirdest celebrity deaths in the world. Robert Williams was an American factory worker and is the first known case of dying from a robot. One of the industrial arms struck him and killed him on impact.
Whoa.
A man named Vladimir was chewing bubblegum and he dipped his gum into an unknown substance. He dipped it and he put the gum back in his mouth and it caused an immediate explosion. One unidentified man in 1888 was killed by a meteorite. In fact, this is the only person that's known in human history to die from a meteorite. If you want to know the chances of this happening to you, it's about 1 in 1.6 million. In other words, you have a better chance of getting struck by a meteorite 182 times before you'll ever win the lottery. Make sure to press the plus.
The death of Bob Saget was completely unexpected and pretty mysterious, so let's talk about it. So if you don't know Bob Saget, then you probably haven't ever...
Yo, a lot of these stories are crazy. It's like a endless list of celebrities, bro. This is crazy.
Ever watched the show Full House? Full House was the show that really launched Bob Saget's career, along with the careers of people like John Stamos. And Bob Saget also went on to host America's Funniest Home Videos. He was a very beloved figure in Hollywood and in American culture, but one day in 2022, the completely unexpected happened. At around 4 p.m. on January 9th, 2022, Bob Saget was found dead in his hotel room. These are real pictures released by the police of Bob Saget's hotel room after they found his body. At the time of his death, Bob Saget was in Orange County, Florida. He was on a tour doing stand-up comedy and had just played a show the night before. On February 9th, the autopsy report was released, which stated that Bob Saget had died from blunt force trauma to the back of the head. Now, usually you hear of blunt force trauma causing a death in the case of murder cases. But according to authorities and the official story, Bob Saget supposedly fell somewhere in this hotel room, hit his head on the back of the head, crawled into bed, and died in his sleep.
Really?
Now, I don't really know what to think of all of this. I think it probably was some sort of a tragic incident.
Wow.
But regardless, this was an extremely shocking death, and once again, it is somewhat mysterious.
Absolutely mysterious.
The death of David Carradine, aka
Background is super crazy.
Some of his staffers were supposed to meet with film production crew for dinner to discuss the movie, but no one could make contact with him, and they assumed that he was still in his hotel room. Well, when they entered his hotel room, they found David Carradine dead. He had accidentally hanged himself. When authorities entered David Carradine's hotel room, they found him strangled to death with a curtain cord. He was completely naked, and he had been dead for at least 12 hours.
What?
Now, at first, it may seem like David actually took his own life, but that's really not what happened. Because, you see, when he was found dead, there was a rope around his neck and a rope tied tightly around his genitals. Apparently, David Carradine had been trying to engage in some sort of autoerotic asphyxiation thing, where you basically choke yourself to the point of almost losing consciousness to get some sort of a thrill. But something had gone wrong in the process. Maybe he set something up improperly, or he took it too far, and he ended up killing himself on accident inside of his hotel room. So obviously it wasn't just shocking that David Carradine died so suddenly, but it was also so bizarre that he died in this way. And I will always remember him as Bill.
Whoa, next level shit.
Liam Payne's autopsy report has revealed his cause of death, and here are the top 5 things you need to know. Number 5 is he did in fact fall, he did not jump. Okay, this is a huge sigh of relief for many fans, and I'm sure his friends and family. They did not find any evidence of a jump. Number 4 is that he was alone in the room. A lot of people have suspected nefarious activity or that maybe somebody pushed him, but there's no evidence suggesting this. Number 3 is that he was unconscious or semi-conscious when he fell. Now, this had been speculated before, but they've now proven it. There was no bracing for impact when he hit the ground, so they know that he was in fact only partially conscious at most. It does make you wonder, what was he doing hanging out on the side of the balcony? If he was maybe contemplating something and then fell on accident, who knows? Number 2 is the toxicology report is still pending. This will tell us exactly what was in his system at the time. If you like this list, which nobody should like this list, follow me, leave me a comment with your thoughts on this situation, and also follow my fiancée Samantha. Finally, at number 1, fans have gathered at the place, including his father, to pay tribute to him.
That was...
What actually happened to Kurt Cobain? On April 8, 1994, news that Kurt Cobain had taken his own life shocked the world. And even though people mourned the iconic musician, skeptics weren't convinced. Well, you see, the investigation revealed that the last note Kurt Cobain wrote contained vast irregularities, such as 2 different handwritings and 2 different ideologies. The first half of the note, if read carefully, was a simple retirement letter to his fans. However, the second part of the note had a sudden shift in tone, talking about taking his own life, as if it wasn't written by the same person. Furthermore, the autopsy results showed that with the amount of substance in his system, Kurt Cobain wouldn't have been able to even lift his arm, much less a shotgun. Even though investigators rushed to close this case, people aren't buying it and are...
Bro, so what's the verdict on that?
Famous Autopsies Part 3, Elvis. The King of Rock was only 42 when he passed on August 16th of 1977. His whole life he had struggled with addiction, most notably to pain pills. His nurse said that he was severely depressed, overaging, and not having a woman to love, as well as gaining weight. He was found unresponsive by his girlfriend on the bathroom floor, stuck in a seated position. It's said that during his time on the toilet, he was trying so hard to get it all out that it caused a heart attack. His bowels were packed full, some of which had been there for quite a while. I'm talking about poo, in case you don't know. Whoa. He underwent a burying procedure which forced him to drink a white fluid, and that was found in his colon 4 months later when he passed. His face was swollen along with his torso, which was due to fluid buildup, and on his face under his left eye was a pressure mark, probably due to having his face in his hands. His colon was stretched to the max and on the brink of exploding.
What?
One of the most humble celebrities ever was Paul Walker. He was never passionate about acting or Hollywood. He always loved the ocean. He always wanted to be a marine biologist. In his early 20s, he went to a community college where he studied marine biology, but he was financially struggling. He was living out of his friend's garage and he had to panhandle for money. But that's when he was cast for Pleasantville in 1998, and that's when things really started to change for him. He was able to pay for school and travel and even go surfing. But then he got the role in The Skulls and his acting career really started to speed up. So he put his education on the side temporarily because he thought he'd come back later to school and finish off his education. But that's when he got the role for The Fast and the Furious, which unexpectedly was a mega success. It was such a success that Universal Studios wanted another one. But Paul Walker's heart still wasn't fully in acting.
Really?
He still had a passion for marine biology, but he knew that he couldn't let go of this opportunity. After this, his acting career just went crazy. He started getting tons of roles and even got screencasted for Superman, which he rejected.
Wow.
It was a $10 million contract, but Paul Walker didn't feel comfortable with being Superman and all the baggage that comes with that. Paul Walker focused on taking roles that were true to himself, but his love for the oceans was still there, and he got on the board of directors for the Billfish Foundation, where he would tag along on some shark expeditions around the world. But in 2010, there was a major earthquake in Haiti, and Paul Walker got frustrated. He wanted to help them. He wanted to make an impact on the world. So Paul Walker immediately called his friends, who were paramedics and firefighters, to come help him go to Haiti and help people on ground zero. So him and a few other people went directly to the Dominican Republic, not knowing if they can even get into Haiti. But they were able to get into a helicopter and make it to ground zero. They had a few bags of supplies and helped hundreds of people. Paul refused to have any press or PR there or any attention on him. After that, he founded Reach Out Worldwide. In 2013, Paul Walker was ready to quit acting and focus on his family and even potentially get back into marine biology. But on November 30th, 2013, Paul Walker was hosting a toy drive for the people of the Philippines. That's when Roger Rodas offered him a drive in his Carrera GT. This was Paul's favorite car and he loved Porsches. But unfortunately, they got into an accident in the industrial park around a bend, crashed into a tree. The car burst into flames and they both tragically died. Although he never got to go back to school or focus more on his personal family life, he never wasted a minute of his life. He lived every day as if it was his last day. He never cared about the Hollywood stuff, the fake nonsense. He was a real genuine person who actually cared for other people and treated everybody as if they were his friend. And that's what I think we can learn from Paul Walker.
That was touching. That was touching.
Famous Autopsies, Part 11, Marilyn Monroe. As many of us know, Marilyn was an actress, singer, model, and fashion icon who still to this day has some influences. On August 5th of 1962, when she was just 36 years old, Marilyn was found unresponsive in her bed by her housekeeper. She was laying on her stomach with no clothes on, and found next to her were a couple bottles of meds. As far as cardiovascular system goes, nothing was too out of the ordinary. Both lungs were moderately congested with some edema. Her gallbladder had previously been removed. Multiple sections of the liver show slight signs of accentuation of the lobular pattern, but no tumor or hemorrhage was found. Both kidneys, her stomach, and her colon were congested. There were no pill fragments found in her stomach. Her COD was listed as barbiturate poisoning, and it was classified as self-inflicted. Due to the high levels of barbiturates in her system, but no fragments being found in her stomach, has led to much controversy.
That don't sound right.
This is what happened to Bruce Lee. July 20th, 1973, he goes to a friend's house for a visit. Lee complains of a headache. His friend gives him an Equagesic, a painkiller that contains aspirin and a tranquilizer called meprobamate. Lee is allergic to some of these compounds, which causes inflammation in the brain. This inflammation results in cerebral edema, excess fluid accumulation in the skull. Apart from brain tissue, blood, and cerebrospinal fluid brain juice, the skull doesn't have room for much else. The increasing pressure in the skull caused by the cerebral edema causes the brain to herniate or slip through a hole in the base of the skull called the foramen magnum. When this happens, the brain tissue distorts, compressing the brain tissue, causing brain damage, and causes compression of blood vessels, leading to decreased oxygen to the brain. The combination leads to coma and eventually death.
Dang.
No one realized that after Brittany Murphy's death, Eminem, worth $200 million, never remarried. And the real reason is heartbreaking. As a beloved star, her death at the age of 32 shocked the world, especially for her ex-boyfriend Eminem. This was a tragedy he could not bear. After Murphy's death, Eminem sent an important message to Hollywood calling what happened to Murphy. Insane, the lively actress, met Eminem through 8 Mile, and Murphy's heartfelt gaze and lively smile completely captivated Eminem. Eminem rarely showed such a gentle smile. Eminem doesn't often let his guard down, but only Murphy and his daughter have witnessed this unique tenderness. Murphy also celebrated her 25th birthday at Eminem's house, showing how special she was to him before her death. Murphy said in an interview with David Letterman that she and Eminem had a relationship during filming, and that continued for a while after Murphy's death. Eminem rarely spoke publicly about their relationship, which led him to completely close off his heart. He no longer had the desire to pursue marriage.
Paul McCartney died in 1966 and they replaced him. The conspiracy goes that Paul had passed away in a car wreck in November 9th while leaving Abbey Road. You know, the place where their studio used to be. Now, they were so famous and were just on the rise to success that they were making too much, and they didn't want things to stop. So supposedly they covered it up and held a lookalike audition for Paul McCartney. The winner took his spot. Now, these are the details I find pretty convincing. The original Paul had a different facial structure from the new one. The original one had a shorter chin, darker eyes, and a smaller nose. The newer fake Paul lookalike has a longer chin, elongated face, and colored eyes. Also, Paul and Ringo used to be around the same height, but that all changed right after 1966. Suspicious. One fan noticed that they were leaving hidden secret messages in their music, like in their song called I'm the Walrus. Walrus means corpse. A couple years later, after that song, they released another song. And in that song, I kid you not, it says, well, here's another clue for all of you. The walrus was Paul. Tastes like your mama's booty. Things even get more suspicious. In the Sgt. Pepper's album cover, if you hold up a mirror in the center of the drum, there is a number 1 with the word 1 next to it. Then the Roman numeral for 9. And then the words, he died, altogether spelling 11-9, he died, hinting at his passing on November 9th. Should I do a part 2?
Whoa. How does somebody even come up with that?
Aaron Carter went from being a promising young musician to a broken man with a destroyed life, and there's no one we can blame more for his death than his own parents. Aaron Carter was born in Florida in 1987, where his parents moved there after their bar in New York failed, so they moved to Florida to run a retirement home. And they had 5 kids, but despite the parents having no background in the entertainment industry, they worked to get all 5 of their children into music and acting. While they were putting all their kids into training to do singing, they had a big break in 1989 where their son Nick Carter was offered a chance to be on the Mickey Mouse Club and offered a $50,000 contract to do the show for the year. During that process, Nick Carter met AJ McClain and also Kevin Richardson, who were much older than him, and they were working as tour guides at Disney. And after they met, they offered Nick Carter the chance to turn down Disney and doing the Mickey Mouse Club to instead work with them on forming the Backstreet Boys, which they did, and eventually they launched in 1993 as a boy band. It took a few years to take off, but in 1996 they had success with their album, which was just called the Backstreet Boys, and since that point they've been able to sell 130 million albums. But there was an issue Nick Carter ran into because he was only 16 years old when the Backstreet Boys began to take off, so his parents still had control of his finances. Because that when Nick Carter turned 18, he actually distanced himself from his parents, not giving them any control over his finance or any involvement with the Backstreet Boys or his personal brand. But that sadly wasn't the fate for his little brother Aaron Carter, where when he was 7 years old his parents started having him performing. When he was 9 years old he began opening for Backstreet Boys concerts. Which was a bizarre debut because when Aaron Carter first appeared it wasn't in the United States but instead at a Backstreet Boys concert in Germany. And the reason for that was actually because of the parents, where Nick Carter wasn't allowed to leave the United States without parental permission, so the only way his parents agreed to do it was if they let Aaron Carter perform to try and boost his career. And it did end up working, where Aaron Carter gained fame because of the Backstreet Boys, where in 2000 he released his first album album at the age of 13 and it sold 3 million copies. But sadly, things worked out very differently for Aaron Carter with his parents versus how they treated Nick Carter, where Aaron Carter wasn't allowed to control any of his own finances and his parents acted as managers running his career. Going as far that the parents actually made strict rules on Aaron Carter that he wasn't allowed to know how much money his albums were making or how much his concerts were making because they thought it would spoil him. But that was all just a giant lie from Aaron Carter's parents so they can keep him out of the dark of his financials, where he made $25 million as a teenager and they spent every single cent of it. To be clear, there is a law in place called the Coogan Act, which requires all child actors to have 15% of their earnings saved for them for the time they turn 18. And it was named after Jackie Coogan, who made $60 million in today's money in the 1920s doing Charlie Chaplin movies. He ended up completely broke when he was 18 because his stepdad spent all of the money, so he ended up spending his adult life broke and miserable playing Uncle Fester on The Addams Family. Before Aaron Carter turned 18, he was telling everybody that he was expecting a minimum of $10 million to be saved for him by the Coogan Act and other investments his parents made for him. Instead, he was informed that his parents actually broke the law, never setting up a Coogan account for him, and they spent every single cent he made. To make things an entirely new level of bad, Aaron Carter's parents never actually paid any taxes on the money he made, so when he turned 18, he actually found out he was $3.5 million in debt to the IRS. When Aaron Carter learned about this at age 18, he actually revealed he went through a full-blown mental breakdown because he thought he was going to go to jail because some lawyer said he was at risk for that, or he'd have to pay back the taxes with interest, meaning he'd owe about $9 million. But then the court ended up giving him some mercy where they allowed him to file for bankruptcy, saying that it was not his fault at all, but he did end up having to go bankrupt when he was just 19. And then right after that, Aaron Carter's parents ended up filing for divorce, and there were financial disclosures in the divorce revealing neither of the parents had any money, so they literally wasted every cent their son made. And just to get an idea for Aaron Carter's mom's personality, she was actually arrested not long after the divorce because she was beating up her husband's new girlfriend. And where things got worse for Aaron Carter was he ended up in a lawsuit with his former manager Lou Pearlman, who was stealing money from the royalties on his songs. Then Aaron Carter got sued by his former record label Transcontinental, saying he didn't fulfill his promise to do a new record for them, but the court threw it out because he signed that agreement when he was a teenager and not an adult. Aaron Carter tried to make more money in his 20s. He didn't have any success with nobody buying his new music, where he was told he was basically the equivalent of a child actor who couldn't make it as an adult. In 2012, Aaron Carter's mental state began to decline when his older sister Leslie passed away from an overdose. After the sister's death, Aaron Carter tried to make amends with his parents, doing multiple TV appearances with his mom to say he forgave them for the financial mistreatment. And in 2016, Aaron Carter's mental state got much worse when his father suddenly passed away from heart disease, which the family wasn't expecting. And in 2019, the relationship between Nick and Aaron Carter ended because Nick Carter got a restraining order on Aaron because he threatened to kill his pregnant wife. And at that point, Aaron Carter's mom and the rest of the family completely abandoned him, with the only one left in his corner being his twin sister, who began publicly advocating for him to get more mental health because he had personality disorders. But still, no help came for Aaron Carter, who was completely broke, so he wrote a memoir making a bunch of claims which were proven false, with one example being him claiming that he took Hillary Duff's virginity when she was 13 years old. Which led to Hillary Duff calling out Aaron Carter publicly, cutting all ties with him, saying she loved him when she was younger but now had no relationship with him. And Aaron Carter also made the claim in the book that he was molested by his older sister Leslie, who passed away a decade earlier, but the problem with that claim was no one in the family supported and said Aaron was just doing it to sell books. In Aaron Carter's final few months alive, he was flaunting his body on OnlyFans to try and make money, offering to sing for people in his underwear and do other acts for cash. Then finally in 2022, Aaron Carter passed away due to drowning, which was caused by substance abuse. When Aaron Carter died, the rights to his music were still valued at $810,000, but he owed so much money that he was still $240,000 in debt with his estate. And then what was left of Aaron Carter's estate from things like his likeness and also his music rights was left to his son Prince, and that stuff could grow in value over time. But for Aaron Carter's mom, she just keeps on getting worse, where she has no relationship with Aaron Carter's son and doesn't offer any help in any way, but she was arrested in 2023 after a fight with her husband over a remote. So Aaron Carter's story is still one of the biggest examples of Hollywood abuse towards a minor in history, and his parents are definitely to blame for his death. And with that, I'm Charles Pearl. Please subscribe to learn something.
That's a crazy story, bro.
5 child stars who tragically passed away before 18. The last one is truly shocking. Number 1, Hudson Joseph Meek. Known for his role in Baby Driver, Hudson Joseph Meek tragically passed away at just 16. He suffered blunt force trauma after falling from a moving vehicle. 2 days later, he succumbed to his injuries at the University of Alabama Hospital in Birmingham. Number 2, Logan Williams. Famous for playing young Barry Allen in The Flash, Logan Williams tragically passed away in 2020 at the age of 16 due to a fentanyl overdose. His untimely death brought significant attention to the ongoing opioid crisis and the dangers of fentanyl abuse. Number 3, Tyler Sanders. Recognized for his Emmy-nominated role in Just Add Magic: Mystery City, Tyler Sanders was found dead at his home in June 2022. He was only 18 years old. The cause of death was later determined to be a fentanyl overdose. Number 4, Kaylia Posey. A beloved star from the reality show Toddlers and Tiaras, Kaylia Posey was known for her radiant smile, which became a viral internet meme. Tragically, she died by suicide in a Washington Washington State Park in 2022 at just 16 years old. Number 5, Rob Knox. Known for his role as Marcus Belby in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Rob Knox left a lasting impression with his performance. In 2008, at the age of 18, he was fatally stabbed while defending his younger brother during a bar altercation.
Jeez.
This just in, actor Chadwick Boseman has died. He was just 43 years old. Boseman was known for playing black icons Jackie Robinson and James Brown before making it big as the Black Panther in the Marvel movies. Boseman had been fighting colon cancer for 4 years, but never spoke publicly about his diagnosis.
What did he mean to you as a friend?
He's a special person. It's a tragic loss, for all of us. And for me, our community, we're still dealing with it. I think we're still processing, his legacy that he left behind, the impact that he's made on so many, people around the world, his family. He lives forever.
Did you ever have moments when you were on set and you were like, wow, I feel like Chadwick is here, or I feel like this is something that he really would have enjoyed being a part of, or that you felt his presence in some sort of way?
Since he passed, as much as I worked at saying goodbye, I've never let him go. I feel like in making this movie, we are doing everything we can to keep his legacy alive.
How does that feel to know that they love this film so much?
It's great, but I'm dead. I'm dead.
What about Black Panther 2? Anything?
I'm dead.
No, we're not ready for you to be dead, Chadwick.
But I am. I'm dead.
Top 3 actors who died on set while filming a movie. Number 3 is Vic Morrow from the Twilight Zone movie. This is one of the worst tragedies that ever happened in film history. I mean, there was a helicopter flying over them for the scene, and Vic Morrow was holding 2 child actors, and the helicopter crashed, landed on top of them, and all 3 of them perished, unfortunately. Really, really sad. Number 2 is Tyrone Power. Now, this is crazy because both Tyrone and his father, who was an actor, passed away while filming a movie. Now, they were notorious drinkers, smokers, whatevers, and he had a heart attack in the middle of filming a sword fight scene. If you like this list and want more about other nonsense, follow me. Leave me a comment with your thoughts on actors passing away on set. Also follow my wife, Samantha, who I've tagged. Follow us on anywhere you get your podcast with our brand new podcast, Brutally Honest with Sam and Jacob. Number 1, this one, probably the most infamous, is Brandon Lee.
For sure.
This is how Ozzy Osbourne died. For over 5 decades, he was called the god of rock and roll. With his band Black Sabbath, they ruled over rock. No one came close. Their concerts were full of emotion and chaos. Ozzy bit bats on stage, smashed guitars, and became the face of heavy metal. But beneath all that madness, years of health problems were slowly breaking him down. In 2003, Ozzy was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Over the next 2 decades, he underwent multiple surgeries, from spinal operations to injury repairs after serious falls. Tours were delayed or canceled, but he always kept trying to come back. And in July 2025, he pulled off one last miracle, a final Black Sabbath reunion concert in Birmingham with over 50,000 fans screaming his name. But just 2 weeks later, on July 22nd, 2025, Ozzy Osbourne died peacefully at 76. His family said he was surrounded by loved ones, but they never revealed what truly ended his life. Some fans now believe Ozzy knew it was coming and used every bit of strength he had left to say goodbye on his own terms.
All right, guys, that was another TikTok compilation, man. Like I said, you made it this far, you a real one for real, because this one right here was gonna be heavy, and this was very heavy. It was a lot of different celebrities in this, and a lot of conspiracies going on around a lot of these things that happened to these people. Y'all let me know in the comments which of these celebrities, which one of these hit you the most. You know what I'm saying? When you found out that they passed away, which one hit you the most, man? But rest in peace to everybody in this video. And like I said, I did my research. Morgan Freeman is not dead. You know what I'm saying? So till next time, man, self-love and positivity. Fire Squad, I got you, and you know it.